If you want to produce high-quality videos, don't forget about the sound. Here are 5 tips for mixing audio when video editing. Let's start with the basics and let's take a look at audio panels. I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro, however, these are general tips which can be applied in most of the editing programs. Sometimes when you import clips to your timeline, and I would say this happens most of the time, the sound might not be perfect. You will find clips being louder, others quieter, depending where they were recorded and with what tools. Once you want to mix those clips together with music and sound effects, you will need to make some adjustments. What are the general rules? All of your sound mixed together should typically stay between -24 and -6 decibels. If you have a dialogue in your video, the sound should stay between -18 and -9. Music should be around -18 and -22. If I use music under my spoken word, I generally tone it down to -35 all the way to -45. And finally, sound effects should be between -10 and -20. If you have any sound at a 0 or higher, it will be distorted. How do you fix that? Very simply, right-click the clip on your timeline, select Audio Gain. On the first line, you will see Set Gain to. Slide left and right to adjust the gain to your preference, hit OK, and you are done with the clip. Make sure to match all clips on your timeline to your preferred audio level. Let's talk about keyframing levels. There are many situations when you might need this. One use would be if at the beginning of spoken word, the start of the sentence is a bit stronger than the rest of the sentence or the rest of the clip. What I normally do is find the spot in the clip where the level is already where it should be. In the Effect panel, go to Audio Level and click here to add a keyframe. Then I go to the beginning of the clip and type in -4 or -5. This will create another keyframe automatically. You can see in the Effect panel that now the beginning of the sentence has been lowered. Second instance would be when you have a spoken word and below you have a soft music playing in the background and you want to transition from the spoken words to music only, softly. I select background music, which is lowered down to roughly -35. I will create a keyframe just before the last word is finished. Another keyframe is created shortly after. And now it's time to bring the level higher to make the music stand out. And just push forward. Let's talk about this sound. Yes, taking breath in. Now this comes with personal preference. When you're talking in real life, you cannot really hear much of a sound of taking breath in. But once you record yourself to the microphone, those are very sensitive and will catch any sound possible. When you have 2 clips next to each other and one clip is ending with a sound of taking a breath in and the other clip is starting the same way, you might be making a decision whether you want to keep the sound or remove it completely. If you remove it completely, it might sound quite unnatural. I personally keep it in, but I lower it a bit with the help of a keyframes. I lower it to about -10, sometimes to -15 if I feel it's too strong. I just listen to it through my headphones and use my own sense, my preference, what sounds pleasant, not disruptive. Here's an example if I leave the full sound of taking breath in. I pulled the camera down, I just was flying to the ground. Luckily the camera didn't break. And here's an example with lowered sound. I just was flying to the ground. Luckily the camera didn't break. Many beginners struggle with editing 2 clips of spoken words together if they don't know anything about crossfade transitions. You're trying to cut exactly where the last sound is, and then try to cut off the first sound on the next clip, resulting in a way too fast cut, which doesn't sound real. Everyone will hear that there was a fast cut. Here's an example. It's very harmless, it's very friendly, it's not gonna do anything. So unlucky me, I did trust her and I went, how can you make it better and much easier? Let's go to the Effects panel and type in crossfade, you will get 3 choices. Constant gain, which means that the audio will be increased or decreased at constant rate. Constant power, which will carry on the power of the audio. It will create a very smooth transition. I use this one quite a lot. For example, when I have one clip ending where I'm taking breath in, and then I have another clip where there is no sound of me taking breath in. There's nothing like that. It will connect those clips nicely. Last choice is exponential fade. That one I use when there is a first clip ending with a disruptive sound, and the next clip is starting quite nicely, quite quietly. When you use this exponential fade, it will hide that disruptive sound. It will make it quiet and give you enough space between those clips, so it doesn't sound like you cut it too early and tried to hide something. This is how it sounded before. It's very harmless, it's very friendly, it's not gonna do anything. So unlucky me, I did trust her and I went, and this is how it sounds now. Very friendly, it's not gonna do anything. So unlucky me, I did trust her. And many years ago, when I used to work as a radio announcer, there was one thing which scared me the most. The dead air. No sound. The sound of nothing. Let's talk about adding ambient sound, or the opposite, removing unwanted background sound. It is a standard practice to record 30 seconds or more of a room tone when you're in any shooting location. You can place it between clips which look like this, where there is no background noise. If you leave it empty, it's gonna sound quite unnatural unless you want to fill up the space with the music. Let's talk about the opposite, too much noise in the background, removing the unwanted sound. For example, ambient noise like hum or buzz. Let's go to FX, where there is a section called Noise Reduction Restoration. In this section, there are 4 choices. Automatic click remover. As the name already suggests, this removes any click sounds. It's a very basic tool where you can control only 2 things: threshold and complexity. Second choice is dehammer. A dehammer is an effect that will help you get rid of an unwanted frequency that is usually caused by power lines from lights and electronics. Third option is denoise, which I'm going to use on the clip I play it outdoors. This will tone down the background noise like vehicle horn sounds, wind noise, or even static noise. You just need to be careful not to overdo it, as the sound will get distorted. Here is before. I could have gotten to other places, but because it's summer, it's packed of people, so I'm quite limited when it comes to locations. And here is after. I could have gotten to other places, but because it's summer, it's packed of people, so I'm quite limited when it comes to locations. Last choice is de-reverb. De-reverberation is the process by which the effects of reverberation are removed from sound, after such reverberant sound has been picked up by microphones. In simple words, you would use this to remove echo. Here you can also select the intensity of the effect. You just have to be careful not to apply it too much, as it will distort the audio. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you learned from those 5 tips how to mix audio when video editing. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to learn more.